I am so excited today. I have my very good friend and the Robin Hood of Wall Street with us, Gregory Mannarino. And the timing is perfect since the bond market is doing some really interesting things. So we're going to talk about that and a very interesting note that he got from JPMorgan. You need to hear about that and many other things. I present you Gregory Mannarino, the one and only. The first thing I want to ask you is, what do you think's going on in the bond markets? Let's just dive right in.
The bond market is a time bomb. It's been a time bomb for the longest time. We're starting to see the long end of the curve come up here. We haven't seen this convergence that we're witnessing right now since just prior to the financial crisis. It's going to go. It's sending us a warning here. Look, there's going to be a lot more effort, I think, to try to contain it. It won't be contained. They're going to continue to pressure the currency. They're going to continue to buy debt, monetize it. Could it push the stock market higher? We're going to get a real test today because we got NVIDIA coming out, which is kind of like the high priest of like AI tech. You got the tech sector, big tech really, is supporting the entire market. And if that were to give way, it would be like, it's the spine. It would be like a bag of bones hitting the floor. So we'll have to see. And even with that, let's say, the earning report comes out about 4:30 or so. And then the conference calls maybe a half an hour after. That's how it generally works. Then we got, it depends on what's happening. You got the debt market today with a little bit of relief. We heard a couple of frank pieces of propaganda today from our president that Iran wants a deal badly. Then Iran comes back saying we're going to expand the war. They don't want a deal. They've turned down everything. Or they come back with a list of demands here. But the market loves to hear this kind of stuff. Crude oil's down like 5% last time we looked at it today. It's just relief. It's headline relief. It's not anything undramatic on it. But that market is the key to everything. You know that better than anybody here, man. There's very few
100%.
people on this planet, and I mean that. You're one of them, who gets it, the fact that this entire illusion is built upon oceans of debt, and this thing is detonating. Aren't we seeing it right now in our daily lives, how the currency is devaluing rapidly, the price action of precious metals, even though they've gone down as recently. But why is that? That's margin calls. That's this over-leveraged market. It's on a knife's edge. So what happens is investors, they're playing the paper market. They got to dump paper to raise capital, and it hits, and it's a gift. As you know, it's a gift, and I don't care what the price action here of gold is. I don't think about it, neither do you. The price action of gold or silver or any of the metals, platinum, palladium, copper, all of them. I own them all. I don't think about what they're going to do day to day, month to month. I don't at all. My entire thesis is predicated on basically what yours is too. That is that we are going to reach a moment where things become extremely real. You can't exist in an environment where perpetual debt expansion, and which must expand exponentially on a planetary level, is just going to go on infinitely without there being a price to pay. And there's another facet to this, man, that people aren't even thinking about right now. Going back to the bond market, the bond vigilantes. Basically, the concept of bond vigilantes is, a refusal. Well, now we have the Fed-Treasury complex buying it all. So this could throw a little bit of a monkey wrench in this scenario here. But if let's say, for example, at the current yield, people say, no, we're not buying here. Well, you could see this really take off, and you could see bond yields spike. And that would hit the stock market extremely hard. But, we'll have to see where this goes. The whole thing is such an illusion. It is so fake. And what are we doing? What have you and me and everyone else who gets it been doing since time immemorial? That's what it seems like here, taking advantage of the situation around us, because that's the gift that we've been given.
Yeah.
And it'll stop when it stops. What do we know? I could go on. I could talk about the bond market from now until the next, solar year without stopping. But going on with the bond market here, it's a disaster area waiting to happen, and it's not about a market crash that what we're really worried about here. It's first of all we're in I don't even think it's the late stages. I'm going to say the middle stages of the greatest wealth transfer effect the world has ever seen. Who wins when the currency is weakened? When you hear our president say we need a weaker dollar, well, it's the 1% and 2% is via the Cantillon effect, the way cash moves through the system. Who has access to new money? Cash here first. It's the entrepreneur class. It's the rich class. Then they get it before it's devalued. Then it comes down to us here, people on the ground. And so keeping the dollar weaker, that helps them. It certainly doesn't help us or our way of life or our cost of living here. Artificially suppressed rates here. Yeah, it's the same mechanism. Keep rates artificially suppressed. It kills the currency, and that's obviously the bottom line here. We're watching the dollar die, and you and I and the people that follow our work. I believe we have done. Really, look, man, I'm not tooting our horns here, but we've done one heck of a job keeping our people ahead of the curve on all this. And people can look at our work, go back to the beginning. And we've been saying the same thing. It doesn't change. People like you and me and the people that follow our work, we're right here. So we don't have to waver. We don't have to think about changing our strategy because we've been spot on since day one.
Right.
It's amazing. It's a beautiful thing to witness. But, the debt market here, it's going to go off. I'm not saying it's going to go off right now, but this convergence or divergence, should I say, that we haven't seen here with regard to the long end of the yield curve and the stock market and the way actually it's way worse. You can't even compare, in my opinion, I'd love to hear yours, the dynamics that are in play right now between the financial crisis here that was contained. You remember Bernanke was contained, and it did go worldwide and global. He knew it was going there. Henceforth, why rushing to Washington over there and telling our representatives, they don't represent nobody, that if they don't start pumping billions into the system, we won't have an economy. The market is one thing, and that's what everyone is looking at, but it's the debt market implosion that's going to cause what I'm saying is a credit event where everything is just going to lock up and transactions stop. What do we know? I know I'm rambling on here, but I'm going to stop in a second. But the backbone of the system is the flow of credit or the flow of debt through the system. Once that becomes impinged, well, all transactions stop. Zeros across the bank account. But you can't transact in that currency anymore. So we need to build an alternative currency. I say still, and as you would too, is we need to go back to a gold-backed system, but that would return power to the people. A lot of people will argue, well, why not silver, Greg? Well, because gold is the most stable asset on earth, period. There's nothing that even comes close to it. So silver is great, but it's extremely volatile. Okay. But being that, the pipeline is already set up here with the rules, the regulations, bringing us into with the Genius Act signing in July, I call it the return of the company store model. How private corporations are going to be able to issue their own stable coins back to one with the dollar, overseen by the Federal Reserve. I mean, you can't make that up. If people try to, even in science fiction, they couldn't make it up. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking because I want to hear you for a minute.
Yeah, but actually, you had a lot of great points. And one of the points that I make is that in 2022, that's when they started raising rates, right? And that broke a 40-year trend cycle. But last week, what we saw, or recently, I should say, what we saw is bonds around the world, but in the U.S., the 2-year, the 10-year, the 30-year.
Around the world, yeah.
Every single one broke a key resistance level. You're a technician. What does that tell you that means?
It tells me that we got problems here. Now, listen, what the issue is this. All right. We have to look at things it's through the lens we're in now. We all know that we need to return, first of all, to a real sound money system. That would be the ultimate fix. That would be the ultimate fix. Now, being that I don't think we're going to get that, but unless we get a revolution, and there's not enough people here to do it.
Yes, there are. I'm going to stop you right there because you know how I feel about this. But we only need 3% of the global population to convert their garbage fiat into sound money. Sound money is money that cannot be inflated away by governments and central banks. Because if it's the 1% that are ruling us and we get 3%, we're stronger together than they are. So I'm going forward
right now, and we don't even need 3% of the people to convert their currency to gold and or silver. We need people to come together and just say one word: enough. We have a political system that is set up that does one thing: is in place to protect the 1 and 2%ers here. And the government, and you know this too, they can say you have to transact in this or else. Mm-hmm. So, the bottom line is we need to gut the system from the top down. What we need to do, honestly, is get more people to understand what you and I and our people do for 1,000 years. Yeah, to protect ourselves. Look, we have to think of it in terms of this. We are being pressed from every angle. Okay, the best way, at least from a financial standpoint, and I'm in this market, I'm in everything. Okay, in all kinds of different assets as well, is to hold. What I still say, even I don't care what the price action of gold and silver is, even at today's prices, we haven't seen nothing yet. We have to look at, at what we can do, at least to keep ourselves on the right side, is from a financial standpoint. But it's way bigger than that, because even let's just put this together here. The real issue is not the market or even where wealth is going to eventually move based upon the debt market, which basically decides the price action of assets across the board, except, of course, for things like gold and silver and even commodities overall, which rely on a paper derivative to get priced off of. Now, if we realize that the debt market is basically the mechanism behind where everything prices off of, we have a stock market that's in la land. You keep rates suppressed. You keep the currency weak. It forces the market to reprice and trade on higher multiples. Now, the reverse, going back to the debt market. Okay, we get this sell-off in the debt market, and I believe one day it's going to be an uncontrolled debt market, whether it's bond vigilantes or the Fed-Treasury complex itself, who allows the system to melt down. And I think it's going to be a moment of their choosing. Yeah, sure. Wealth is going to move very, very quickly, very, very rapidly. There's going to be everyone running to the door at the same time here. We're going to see a massive reprice with regard to physical gold and silver, which is what you and I have been telling people to go forever now here. And let them play their games in the paper market. Let margin calls hit the holders of paper and let it drop. Good. We smile at that, don't we? Because it gives us an opportunity. But what we need to do, again, is from a financial standpoint, this market is so easy to beat, so easy to stay ahead of. It's not even funny. If we just, in fact, it's the biggest joke that has been played on anyone in history. Look, we realize that, the mechanism behind this to keep the stock market inflated up is what? Kill the currency, keep rates artificially suppressed, inflate the debt. Now, once this reverses around here, and it's the debt market being that the time bomb that it is, when it implodes, and it will, it's just that's why they're fueling it. That's when the credit event happens, we freeze up. Now, you can have all the gold and silver you want. Okay. However, when it comes down to, and you know this again better than anybody, and you've positioned yourself in this way, which is a beautiful thing, is you have to be self-sufficient. Yeah. Self-sufficient and sufficient on your environment and the people around you. Now, people where I live, I'm going to tell you right now, they don't have a clue. There's maybe in my entire neighborhood here, I don't know, maybe 3 people that I can actually talk to about this stuff here. Even though they follow my work, my neighbor across the street, when I moved in, he was like, "Oh my God, I know you. I watch your work every day." And he's like, "I can't believe you're my neighbor." And I'm like, and he gets it. He's a guy who's doing exactly what we're doing too.
Awesome community.
Yeah, I know. It's a beautiful thing.
It is.
But look, man, this is what we need to do, 100%. But until we're able to get, let's say, people that actually represent us in positions where they're not supporting, I call them the Epstein class, the 1 and 2%ers here, well, then we will continue to be crushed. Now, the vast population, what's happened to them, Lynette, is they've literally entered a state of, I say, learned helplessness. Now, that's where you and I come in. We say they're not helpless. Take your own action. If people don't, I have had people even recently say to me, "You mean I could actually I could buy gold and silver and have it in my own hand? You mean I could actually taste it, lick it if I want to?" Yeah, they don't know that. They'll go, it's a mind blow. You mean I don't have to buy a piece of jewelry? You mean I could actually get bullion or, They don't know that. And this is because, again, they have no idea how this system works and or why. They sit there fixated on whatever the propaganda ministry wants them to hear. Look, man, all I can say is this. You and me and people like us that have been around, you realize how long we've been out here, you and me? Yeah. I mean, we are veterans of the highest order out here. And I really believe that we have made a positive difference in people's lives. I hear from them all the time. So do you. And, so we got to embrace the fact that, yes, we have done that. Do we have to make it bigger? Yeah. But right now, we are at that moment that you and I have said was going to eventually happen, where the system becomes so absolutely debt saturated. And there's a paradox here. Even though the system appears to be debt saturated, it's not enough to make it function. Henceforth, why war, more war, build up to war, any mechanism they can throw at us to continue to inflate the system. Right. And of course, that's a wrecking machine for the economy. We're dying. America's being wiped out from within. Our economy, our middle class, our nation itself, wealth being transferred right out into 1% via the currency devaluation, via the stock market. Who owns 90+% of the world's stock markets? Of course, it's the Epstein class, the 1% and 2%. And they're the ones who are being protected, and they're the ones that are protecting the guy in the White House. That's the way it's going. And it's not going to stop until people say enough. And I'd like to believe, look how many people we have collectively following us. It's a good amount, okay? Thousands and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, actually, if we take in maybe millions, if we look at everyone who's following all the people out here with large channels combined all together. And I call them all lions. I mean, if we realize that we are lions, that we are sovereign, that we should all join forces together, then we could really start punching holes in this Babylon system. And we're doing it. We're punching those holes in the system. In the system right now, people, I believe, have to realize they do have a voice in this. And I think that you're telling people that, which is a fact. At the same time, having the ability to realize that you need to protect yourself from a financial meltdown and economic crisis, which we are in. We're in a global crisis right now. Meanwhile, what's happening? We're loaning out our strategic petroleum reserves to other nations to protect their economies, which is an unbelievable thing. We're being drained. I got a memo yesterday from a private memo from JPMorgan yesterday. I'll talk about that in a moment if you want me to.
Yeah, I'd love you to.
People can't get it, but I was able to get this. Anyway, and with regard to we're selling off our commercial inventories of diesel. We're selling off our storage of gasoline to support foreign economies. Meanwhile, we're in a crisis. Our strategic petroleum reserves were never meant to be sold off like this. It was for domestic use. We're loaning them out for a promise of getting something in the future. Ain't happening. You know that. But this is what they tell the people to make them believe these kinds of things. It never works for we, the people, unfortunately. And until the people rise up, and I say this, look, man, people sometimes need to be squeezed because they have to realize that they're the ones that have the power, as you alluded to earlier. We do have the power. And the moment, whether it is right now, this instant, that people, without even holding gold or silver, just realize you have the power to say, no, enough. We don't need this anymore. We want a system to work for the people. We need to return. You want to fix the system? It starts with one thing, at least in this kind of environment. Yes, going back to a gold standard would be the best way to do it. But to return purchasing power to the currency. But what would that mean? That would mean we need to vastly or vulgarize the debt market. What would that do to the stock market? It'd be cut in half. Overnight.
Probably more than that.
More than that. Who owns 90+% of the stock market? Go back again. 1% and 2%. They can't be allowed to lose. And they'll be the ones out the door first. And today, we're going to get a big tell from NVIDIA and seeing where the debt market's going to go. Right now, bond yields are lower. Someone out there is buying a lot of debt. I'm going to give you one guess who is. I think you already know.
Who do you think is buying all that debt?
It's the Fed-Treasury complex, man. They have it cornered. They have the debt market absolutely cornered. I say they have it in checkmate. No one wants our debt. The world is de-dollarizing. They had to establish this merger between the Federal Reserve and the Treasury here. And the Treasury, since what they're doing is unbelievable. They're buying back their own debt that they're selling with cash provided by the Federal Reserve. The system is so upside down and so twisted right now. And this is another reason why people load up on gold and silver. I say this too. Let's put something else together. I believe that the market right now we're at an inflection point. If in fact bond yields continue to rise, it's going to hit the stock market like a freight train. That would cause gold and silver prices to initially fall on, again, what? Margin calls. Institutional investors saying, okay, we need to raise capital now. They're selling what they can, not what they want.
Thank you.
So there may be a really, really good opportunity here for people to load up on gold and silver coming. And it all depends on where the debt market goes, or if the bond vigilantes show up or something along those lines, however they're going to frame it. But that's what's happening here. And I mean, it's exactly what we said would happen, and it's happening. It's an incredible thing. I look back at stuff that people like you and me and stuff have spoken about. And, it's not that we're psychic. It's just that we pay attention.
Right.
And then you don't even have to pay that much attention, just a little bit. And then everything just kind of goes poof. It's just like, when you hit that moment of like, wow, man, this is actually what's going on. But the bottom line is people are going to get squeezed harder. And then maybe they'll say, well, maybe I should start, getting out of the dollar system into a sovereign system, their own, okay,
Right.
owning gold and silver and platinum and palladium. I still say silver is the most undervalued asset on earth. And I look at it from this perspective is we have to figure out just one thing, one very basic thing. Where's the Dow? Where's the true Dow? I say the market right now is 6 to 7 to 8 times overvalued. So just if we do the math, yeah, it's unbelievable. Based on what got us here? Currency devaluation, artificially suppressed rates, best debt expansion, can't go on forever. So we have to figure out where the bottom of the Dow is going to be. At one point, I say, look, man, in reality, the bottom of the Dow is probably 8,000. Dow 8,000 is probably something realistic. And we're at what now? Dow 50,000? It's incredible. So, Dow 8,000 to me means probably a 2-to-1 gold. I used to say 1-to-1 that would be, let's say 8,000, but that's already there. We're not there yet, but that's already, I say, a no-brainer. 2 times the Dow, I think, is more likely in this kind of a situation, and maybe even more than that. And then with regard to silver, we could probably hit a 10-to-1. So, it's an incredible thing to witness. It's going to play out that way. But again, that's going to preserve people's wealth, at least putting it in an asset that is real money, has been real money since time immemorial. It's not going to stop. But it's all predicated against the debt market right now, which is a time bomb. It's going to go off. It's just a matter of where. But then we're going to run into a whole new stack of things once the credit event hits. And I think it's a mathematical certainty, because that's what was going on during the financial crisis here. The credit markets were locking up.
Right.
But this time they'll lock up much, much worse. And then, of course, our loving, caring representatives and our president, so we have a solution for you. Look what President Trump signed into law in July, the Genius Act. Yeah, let's bring back let's put back put into effect a completely unconstitutional system, a stablecoin system backed by the Fed, or overseen by the Federal Reserve. But these corporations are able to issue their coin. And the mechanism of control here is unbelievable. The Banking Secrecy Act here, everything's wired into it. It's no longer know your customer and anti-money laundering laws. It's full on surveillance and permission. It's going to be a permission system. People need to opt out. But you see what the stuff we talk about here? No one has any idea.
Well, I think people are having an idea. And one of the things
people are.
Yeah, true. But it's also the younger people that are starting to see the lies that they've been fed. And I think we got a shot at a real revolution. I really do.
Let me say this. I was talking to a young couple 3 weeks ago. And right over here in my neighborhood, they're you're not even going to believe them. Oh, you will believe. So this is a young couple. They got married maybe 2 years ago. I can't say how old they are, but young, everyone's young to me because I'm going to be 61 soon. But I would say
you're young to me.
Probably, I would say they were 30. 30 is pretty young to me. Okay. And they were talking to me about this kind of stuff. And they're like, well, we make collectively about $130,000 a year. And they're like, we can't survive. So I was like,
Yep.
okay. So they're living with their parents to try to get their act together and stuff like that. So, $135,000 collectively used to be a nice chunk of change. So when I tried to get into this, their answer was, well, corporations are greedy. They're charging too much. When I try to explain to them that it's the currency that's dying, all of a sudden you want to talk about blank faces. It looked like they just turned like they didn't see it. They can't see it. They don't realize that it's the currency purchasing power that's being evaporated. So yeah, maybe there are some young couples out here, but the problem is with these people, even them, they're so strapped be due to many factors. Let's say student loans is one factor. Even though you're making that kind of money, people have expenses, car loans, and people do. They borrow. Everyone lives on credit, and that's another. I said, get out of credit, get out of your debt, get out of this. Well, how can I do that? Then I have a bad credit score. Everyone can get out of their debt. It's just a matter of taking a little hit to your credit score. Who cares? Just for a little while. But the bottom line is debt companies renegotiate debt every day, every freaking day, and people can do the same thing. But anyway, the bottom line is, yeah, man, there are some people, and those are part of our collective, let's say, group of lions that realize, yeah, there is something that they can do. But for people even today, let's say making $100,000 in themselves, which used to be a heck of a chunk of change, today it's survival. If you're making 100 grand today, you can't barely survive.
Exactly.
And people are hoping that this is going to change, and the only way it's going to change is if we get reality to set in here. Hopium.
Yep. Hopium.
Yeah, man.
People live on hopium. But you know what?
The thing is this. You and me and our people, again, I believe we've done a great job to keep them on the right side of this. People have to hurt for them to wake up.
Unfortunately, you're right.
It's very sad. They don't just say, hey, all of a sudden they have an epiphany. How hard have you and I and the people that are listening to us right now worked in their life to try to get a perspective on this, listening to people like you? Hopefully you're listening to people like me, other people too, who can finally say, why I really do get it. I know why Lynette is saying that. I know why Greg is saying this. And my job and your job, we're not here to change anyone's mind. I want people to make up their own mind. Look at the situation, see what's happening to themselves. And then instead of saying, well, companies are greedy, they don't have to charge that much. That's not what it is. They don't realize what supply chains are, what's going on in the global markets now with oil. What would it be? People, oil just means gasoline. No, it doesn't. It bleeds throughout the entire system to everything. Shipping costs. How many products are made with crude oil? Over 6,000 products. So prices are rising and rising. Wasn't it something crazy? Went to go buy a deodorant the other day. My deodorant bottles used to be this big. Now they're this big. Same price.
Yep. Shrinkflation.
Shrinkflation too.
It's
all
true.
The stuff we say, Lynette.
It's true. And I'm going to make sure, surprisingly, you don't have one of these, but I'm going to send you some dime cards. So on this side of the dime card is a dime that
I have one. You gave me it.
Right. Well, that's what you need to
have it. You're on my shrine.
Do you have one for your neighbors? Do you have one for your 30-year-old neighbors? Because
no, I have like a thing here, like of people that send me and stuff. I got to dig through it, but everything. I believe I have one of these cards. You were giving out those cards at the yes,
at your event.
I have them.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
So this is a tool to help people see, because this particular dime, first of all, it's really easy to see how much they look alike. So if you're trying to teach somebody, this is exactly the same, looks-wise, the same dime. This dime on the day that we bought it cost us $6.72. This dime, what can you buy with that? So remember in the Depression, buddy, can you spare a dime? Because you could buy a meal with the dime. You can still buy a meal with this dime. Maybe not the best meal in the world, maybe a McDonald's or a fast food meal, but you can still get a meal with this dime. So that's what we have to do, because they've never held sound money in their hands.
1 ounce of silver. What can you buy with that today?
Exactly. The same.
How about what can you buy with 1 ounce of gold?
Exactly. And that's what we have to help people, see and understand. But I do want you to tell me what happened with JPMorgan.
JPMorgan. So JPMorgan yesterday put out a memo situation here with crude oil, what's happening here in the Strait. Iran still controls the Strait after 12 weeks of war. It's an incredible thing. It's just, I can't even believe this. It's abject failure on a galactic level. Okay. The memo basically came down to, starting this June and July, they're expecting shortages to show up. Now, September, they're talking about rationing. If things don't change, I personally don't see things changing anytime soon. And there's also the massive lag effect. We could end this war today.
Yes.
Today, we would still see prices rise, not come down, moving forward for the next 5-6 months, more than likely.
Oh, easy.
And I don't see this ending anytime soon, despite, we're going to get a deal tomorrow, today. And it was interesting what happened today. Stock futures were not doing great earlier. Just prior to the stock market open, President Trump sent out a message that Iran wants a deal or something along those lines, and then the stock market responded positively. Then started to drop, came out again saying they want a deal, they're tired, and then the stock market really took off and crude fell. It's all propaganda. It's not real. It's perception management. It's unfortunate that people are falling into I mean, he's concerned about the stock market, keeping it propped up, but keeping people deceived and looking at things they shouldn't be focused on. People need to prepare for a worst case scenario, as we've been telling them.
But Iran
came back and said, okay, really, we want to deal so badly that we're going to expand the war if they hit us again. It's amazing what they're doing. So, I mean, this is a crisis. So, again, the memo basically from JPMorgan, this is an inside memo warning about the price of crude oil. They said, come September, we could actually be bone dry. And what are we doing? Our president is loaning out our oil. Right. He's loaning out our strategic petroleum, loaning it, yeah, okay, and depleting our diesel commercial supplies. Everything shifts by truck. Could you imagine this scenario? This is a dereliction of duty, in my opinion. As a prior member of the United States Navy, okay, I was an officer in the Navy. You know that. Mm-hmm. If I were to do something like this in a crisis event, I would be defrocked. You know what I mean? It's unbelievable. But yeah, man, it's an interesting set of dynamics in play right now. It's a perception game. But you and me, again, I have to say, you, me, and people like us have been so steadfast on our message, on what we've told people would happen and is what to do now. It doesn't change, Lynette. If you were to look at anything we've talked about going back as far as you want to go, we've never wavered. We've never wavered because we've been able to see it. And if people can't see it now, then they're willfully blind. They're just willfully blind. And your card there, epic. People need to, get a hold of one of those things.
Anybody can just call us up. If you're a client, you get the first one free, and all the others are at our cost because you're the Army. You guys are the Army. But I know that it's hard for people to imagine that we could run out of oil here. But your point with JPMorgan, and you're saying that memo said that it could be as early as September 1st.
They say in September we could actually start seeing rationing. They said shortages should show up. Now, here's the issue. People are going to say, well, Greg is wrong. Well, the United States produces a large amount of oil. We do. We can't replace the barrels and refine it fast enough.
Right.
So this is another delusion that people are stuck in. Yeah, we make oil. Yeah, we do. Even though we're making all this oil right now, how's it helping us? What's happening to the price of gasoline? What's happening to the price of diesel fuel? What's happening? I just paid $5 and I think 75 cents to fill up my truck with diesel. It's a diesel out here. Price of regular gas, I think, is $4.20 here. People are freaking out.
Wow, that's a huge difference in price. Here. And then what are they doing now? We're having Trump ordered that the gasoline be diluted to E15. I know you probably know about this. With ethanol to a 15%. Stretch it.
Older cars, 2001 and earlier, are not supposed to be run. Not only cars, motorcycles, most of the other equipment is not designed to run on E15. E15 is a Band-Aid. It did help. It brought down the prices dropped. We were at way above 420. I think we were at like 430 something at my local. It dropped like 16 cents when Trump ordered that the gasoline be diluted with ethanol to, again, most cars can run on E10, which is a 10% dilution. Trump ordered E15, okay, as a Band-Aid. Crude oil is lower but right now, but the trend is higher. Could be substantially higher, especially if what JPMorgan is saying is true. Even factoring in, I mean, JPMorgan, they got their eyeballs on things. They know what's going on. You want to talk about an insider of the highest order? Well, it's Jamie Dimon. Man, he's the go-to guy for our
Yes,
company.
he is.
So this is memo here that I got a hold of yesterday. It was a pretty interesting piece of work, but it's nothing that we don't know. It becomes real, I suppose, when a so-called big lofty name like JPMorgan says, hey, we got a problem. But if I say it, or if you say, well, it carries some weight, maybe, but not as much as something like a Wall Street super bank telling their clients confidentially, don't let anyone know about, but this is what we see happening. And the mechanism here, look, man, it's not going to stop. There's nothing now that's going to prevent crude oil from going markedly higher, unless, of course, the war ends. today, we would still see higher prices for a while. Then everything would kind of normalize to a certain degree. It'd take a long time.
But normalize higher. And, and to your earlier point, you brought up the fact that oil is used in 6,000 different products. And the PPI and the CPI came in last week hotter than expected. But that 6% read in the PPI, how do you think that's going to impact the normal person shopping?
Extremely negative. What it means is this. It's in the pipeline.
Exactly.
It's already in the pipeline. The producer price index, it's in the pipeline already. So you can't stop it. Nope. People think, wow, it's just going to stop. It won't. Even if, let's say, I don't know, Trump and the Ayatollah, whatever his name is over there, started hugging each other and getting some kind of a bromance, wouldn't stop the prices from hitting us. We haven't even begun, in my opinion, to see the brunt of it just yet. We haven't. It's just starting to show up. And they're going to try to cover it up and just see, look over here, people, look over there, people. If I could push the stock market higher, you hear like Bondi. But Dow 50,000, you can't survive. You can't make ends meet, even if you're making $100,000 a year. But Dow 50,000. Make it up, Lynette. Make it up.
I have a very big imagination, and I don't think I could make this stuff up. Truly.
Neither could I. There's just no way.
God. Oh. Well, I could talk to you forever, and I have a whole bunch of notes in here, but I really want you to, whatever it is that you feel like the people really need to hear from you, because when you speak, people do listen. Is there something we haven't talked, because we've spent most of our time in debt, because goodness gracious, that's what's happening right now, is that debt bubble is popped, and we need to get our poopy together to weather this storm, so to speak. I won't say the other word, but not that I
love the way you put it. It's beautiful.
Poopy.
No, man. Like I said, we're you and me now. We're seeing the appreciation to the choir, man. I hope we can get through to some of the more people and realize so they can actually get a grasp on that we're not conspiracy theorists, that everything we're saying is happening, it's real. And it's going to get to actually be real. But, from a financial standpoint, where it's at. It's in gold. It's in silver, my favorite asset of all time, financial asset of all time.
Absolutely.
Then we need, the other asset is each other. We need each other, man.
Oh.
We need to come together. We have to realize that we're not each other's enemies. You want to weaken a nation, you get a guy to sit or a girl to sit behind the resolute desk that can divide it. A house divided cannot stand. And that's the first process in bringing down the entire situation. Our nation is, in fact, being wiped out from within by design. There's no comedy of errors, no policy mistakes that got us here. Everything's 100% deliberate. They're thrusting us into a new system of maximum control, a whole new set of rules, a whole new paradigm. I've been saying that for over 10 years now, and that's where we are, and that's where we're moving to. And the issue is, people, I hope they fight back, right? Because what's happening, and they are, like you said in Cuba, okay, people are going to start doing it. I think when they really say what is going on, and I'm hoping that people are going to stand their own ground. They were already tested to see what it would be like to have military troops on the ground in the United States and how people would react. Turned out to be not too nice. We're getting some people pushed back. Let's say with ICE and what was going on over there. I'm not saying that ICE wasn't doing what their job to a certain degree here, but they were becoming very invasive and pervasive, and their tactics were a lot bit out of control, in my opinion here. But they want to see what they can do, if they can militarize the streets and what people are going to do. And they see that now, so they have to say, okay, people may push back, so they're going to be prepared for that, and they're going to push harder. That means we have to be prepared to push harder. But we really got to be ready for it. It's not about a stock market crash. That's the least of our problems. The real issue is, again, the locking up of the system. The stock market crash, yeah, sure. It's going to push cash back into real things, massively undervalued assets, gold, especially silver. I think all the commodities are going to skyrocket, but we're going to run into a problem of the availability of resources. Not that they're not there. But the ability for people to get them, especially if the economy gets shut down again. Look, they could shut the economy down. They could cull half the population. The market could still go up. When they shut us down, I was probably one of the only guys. I don't know what your perspective was, but mine was the market could go up. I said this market could go up, and it did. Greg is crazy. How could Greg be telling people the market could go up? Greg is a perma bull, and Greg is an idiot. Yeah, but the market did go up, didn't it?
Well,
because they kept pumping it with more debt.
Do you think we're in the melt-up stage? Are we in the
What's
melt-up
that?
stage? In your
One more time?
opinion, is the stock market in the melt-up stage? Where
Oh, we've been in absolute. Well, yeah. We had a nice drop. We got an incredible V-shaped recovery. What's the market trading on? It's trading on hope, and hope is not a strategy. We got Trump's new guy sitting here behind the Federal Reserve chair desk, for which Trump is going to have a ceremony for him on Friday. I don't know if you're going to watch it. I'm going to throw up all over the place. First time since 1987 that there's been a ceremony like this. And Trump said that Kevin Walsh can do whatever he wants. If anyone believes that this guy is going to have our best interest in mind, they got to be really a little bit out there, man. Like a lot bit out there, like on another planet out there. No, it's not. It's an unfortunate thing here, and I was so disappointed. I was hoping that it's an amazing thing. I don't know if you know how this whole thing played out with Kevin Walsh here. But he's one of the elite, super elite class here. Half his wealth is hidden in confidentiality agreements, and we're not allowed to know what they are. I find that, how do we know if there's not massive conflicts of interest there? We don't know. So a man who's
I don't know that it matters. I don't know that it matters. Conflict of interest. I don't think it matters anymore. People
it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
They let a guy here run the Federal Reserve who has half of his vast wealth, hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe more than that, hidden under confidential. I can't tell you about it. It's confidential. I can't tell you. And this is the guy that the American people need, because Trump says so, to run the Federal Reserve. You got to be kidding me. Again, but this is where we've devolved into. People have not yet learned to say no.
No.
That's it. Once they do that, again, 3% of the people started saying no, we'd make a difference out there. And I think together we could band our people together and we could do it. Oh, man, but right now we're big enough, you, me, and the people that follow our work, and aligned enough that we are punching holes in this. And we're making enough. I'm surprised they haven't muzzled you and me. We haven't been muzzled. Doesn't that say something? I don't know. Maybe because we have big followings and
I've known people that have way bigger followings than I have that got muzzled and disappeared. So I think it's because I don't get political. I stick with the Federal Reserve, and they don't care if I bash them.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
Too, but I've been known to maybe take some serious risks with stuff I've said, and I don't care, man. Look, what's the worst thing they're going to do? Erase me? There are worse things. Death is not the worst thing that can befall a man or a woman, for that matter. Here, I'm going to sit here just like you are, and I'm going to tell the truth no matter what. And people want to listen, that's fine. Make up their own mind. I'm not here to change anybody's mind. Period. The end. But that's it, man. That's where we're at.
Thank you so much for being here today. I have to come and visit you and watch you race. So let me know when your
well,
car
my race car is
fixed.
out of commission for a few more months. I got to put that engine back together, do it myself, and I'm extremely methodical. So a few months of that, I'll have it back.
Awesome. I'm excited. And we're going to send you some dime cards for you to share in your neighborhood or anywhere else. I travel around the world giving these things out. And I know that at some point there will be a tipping point. And I can see it happening.
People are going to look at that and they're going to say, you remember that woman, Lynette? Yeah, look what she gave me. And this is true. I didn't see it, but it sunk in after a while. That's what's going to happen.
I know. Thank you so much for being here. I love you. You have my heart. And I will see you soon. I'll have to make it back to Bradenton again. I really miss Sarasota. I lived there for
I gotta come visit you, and I will.
Okay. All right. You let me know. And with that, I know that you guys have just experienced a phenomenal interview with my good friend, Gregory Mannarino, who, has my heart. And take heed on what he's saying. This man knows the markets. And until next we meet together, I know we can accomplish anything. So let's make a positive difference in this world. What a concept. And until next we meet, wherever you are in the world, please be safe out there. Bye-bye.